Hello everyone, so let's try to find out whether the argument is valid or not. So here we have P implies Q. So we know that P implies Q. If P is true, Q has to be true. So true, 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 false, they both is going to be false. Now here P is false means all of them will be true. Okay, Q or R. So Q or R, true, 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 false, true, it will be false. Not P, so P it will be false. All right, so A1, A2, these are our two arguments. So let's find out, these are our two hypotheses. Okay, these are two hypotheses. We have to find the case where both of our hypotheses are true. So we can see that here, this is one case, both of our hypothesis is true. Another case. All right, this is another case. This is another case, another case. So we have actually total 5 cases where our both of the hypotheses are true. Okay, now for all of these hypotheses, for all of these case where our hypothesis is true, we have to find out whether our conclusion is true or not. All right, so let's find out. R implies not P. Okay, R implies not P. True implies false. Okay, so false implies false, it will be true. True, false, 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 true. True, true, it is true. All right, now what do we see? So these are the 5 cases. So these are the 5 cases where our all the premises or the argument, our hypotheses are true. So 1, 2, this is another case, this is another case, this is another case where our hypotheses are true. Now for this 5 case, we have to find out whether our conclusion is true or not. So here this is true, here our conclusion is also true. For this case, conclusion is also true. For this case, conclusion is true. So we find out only we have one case where both of our hypothesis is true but conclusion is false. Okay, so that means that it can happen even though all the arguments, even though all the hypothesis is true, our conclusion can still be false. Okay, so that means if we find only one case where our hypothesis is true but conclusion is false, that means this argument is not valid. Okay, so this argument, what we are saying, it's not valid. All right, now look at this argument, and if we just look at all the English sentence, what do we see? It is saying that if I like biology, I'll study it. Okay, either I study biology or I fail the course. All right, now given that true, now if I fail the course, does that really mean that I do not like biology? So even if I fail the course, it can mean that I didn't study biology. But if I didn't study biology, there could be many other reasons. If I like the biology, then I will study it. But if I didn't study biology, does that mean that I do not like biology? That doesn't actually necessarily mean that. So there could be many other reasons. If I didn't study biology, that there could be many other reasons why I didn't study the biology. Okay, so if I fail the course, that doesn't necessarily mean that I do not like biology. Okay, so this is not a valid argument. All right, the simple way to do that is that you can just draw a truth table. So if all our hypotheses are true, we have to find out for every case our hypothesis is true, our conclusion has to be also true. Another way to find out a valid argument is that it's actually the same case, but we can find a theorem that a argument with premises or hypothesis a to an and conclusion b is valid when this one is a tautology. So given all the argument is true implies b has to be always true. Okay, if we find a truth table when this statement is always true for all combination of our statement, then we'll know that this one is a valid argument. Okay, now using the theorem prove that this one is a valid argument. P implies Q. If P and P implies Q is true, then Q is true. Okay, prove that this one is a valid argument. And now we are going to use this theorem. Okay, that means we have to find out P and P implies Q. Okay, implies Q. So this is our A1, A2. Alright, this is our two hypotheses and this is our conclusion. Okay, given that A1 is true and A2 is true, A1 and A2 implies Q, our conclusion. Okay, if this is true for every combination of P and Q, alright, that means this statement, it's a tautology. That we know, right? Tautology means that is always true. If we find out for every combination P and Q is for every combination of P and Q, this statement, the whole statement is a tautology, means always true. Okay, so that one is a valid argument. Okay, so we have this argument here, looks like this: P implies Q. Okay, these are our hypotheses. Our conclusion is Q. Okay, so let's just quickly draw a truth table. So we have P and Q. Alright, so we have P implies Q. So P implies Q is going to be true, here false, true, true. Okay, now let's find out P and P implies Q. Okay, so true, 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 false, true, true. I'm sorry, I'm doing actually for Q. Sorry, P and P implies Q. So it will be true and true, 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 false, 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 true. It will be actually false, false, true, false. Okay, now let's find out P or P implies Q. So this is this one implies Q. This is our conclusion. Okay, so this one implies Q. True, 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 false, false, true, false, true, true, false, true, true. Okay, looks like this is true. This is true for every combination of P and Q. What it means is this statement P and P implies Q, alright, implies, that means if P is true and P implies Q is true, that means Q will be always true. If this is true, if this statement is true, that means the statement Q will be always true. Okay, and that's our conclusion. Okay, and that's our combination of, that's our AND statement of two argument, if two hypotheses. Okay, if both of our hypothesis is true, that implies that our conclusion is always true. Okay, all right, so that's the tautology, means if our both hypothesis is true, all of our hypotheses are true, so that implies that conclusion is always true. Okay, and that is the definition of valid argument. So if the end statement of all the hypothesis implies the conclusion is a tautology, all right, means this is a valid argument. Okay, means this is our valid argument. Okay, now let's just see an example with the English sentence, and you will find out that whether P and P implies Q. If both of the hypothesis is true, all right, then Q will be actually always true. Okay, so let's P is okay, so let's P is this is a dog, all right, and Q is like this is a mammal. So P implies Q means, if P implies Q means if this is a dog, this is a mammal. Okay, if this is a dog, then this is a mammal. Now you know that P is true, that means this is a dog. You know that if this is a dog, that means this is a mammal. Okay, this is true. Now you find out that P is true. Okay, that means this is a dog. So obviously Q will be true. Okay, because as this is a dog, you know that if this is a dog, that is a mammal. So you know that this is a dog, that means this is a mammal. So Q is true. All right.